Theater is a dying industry. Any actor has probably heard this saying before, but is it true? All the signs are pointing to yes. The Guardian estimates that 25 to 30% of audiences have yet to return to theaters. Broadway's gross revenue in the 2022 to 23 season was 17% lower than that of the 2018 to 2019 season. 40% fewer shows have been produced in the same time frame, and nationwide we are seeing theaters closing. But why? These numbers aren't par for the course in terms for regression in theaters. It's much worse than the recent history of bad seasons like 2001 to 2002 and 2008 to 2009. This leads me to believe that theater isn't dying, but that we are killing it. To see what others thought, I asked members of our theater department to see how they felt. Hello, I'm Connor Beck, and I'm here with
Maxwell.
Laurelyn Dykes. Danny Miller.
Has anyone ever told you that theater is a dying industry?
I've heard that before.
I have heard that phrase.
Yes.
Who told you that?
Mostly people I didn't care much for.
Literally almost anyone growing up.
My old theater teacher.
Would you agree with that? It's a dying industry.
I think some parts are and some parts aren't.
No.
No, I wouldn't think so at all.
Broadway tickets are currently at an all-time high. Why do you think that is?
I think that's because people are getting back out there after COVID and the whole shutdown. And I think the whole 2020 shutdown inspired people to go back out and to see that arts are thriving again.
I think it's because people are sick of seeing the same shows over and over again on TV and movies. And so seeing it in person is a much different experience.
Do you think that the fact that Broadway attendances can't reach 80% capacity, that the ticket prices have something to do with it?
Yes, I believe that Broadway ticket prices tend to be extremely overpriced.
I don't know. I think it could, but I don't know. I feel like it just depends on the person.
I would say that definitely correlates.
However, Broadway isn't the only market facing these issues. Regional theaters were polled and 74% of them had said they faced a decline of 10% or worse. Tickets in these theaters still averaged out to be $35 to $60. Given that regional theaters follow a subscriptional format, their role to bring theater to more people seems like it's harder on them. Regional theaters are meant to lessen exclusivity, but do they really?
Regarding regional theaters, do you feel that a seasonal subscription is beneficial to the theaters that sell them?
100% beneficial. Whether or not it's beneficial to the subscriber, because it's mostly a lot of money.
I think it is. I think it may be more beneficial because more people will buy them.
I think that at the prices they have set for that, it's beneficial for the theater itself, but I don't think it's beneficial in succeeding to the customer, so getting more customers.
Yes.
Do you feel regional theaters do a good job at lessening exclusivity of live theater?
Yes, they do. Always very typically very inclusive, and most casts you'll see are pretty broad, wide range of diversity. And
I think some do, based on prices and shows, but not all of them.
No.
Sometimes yes and sometimes no. I think that in instances it brings it to people that are able to afford it, but to the people that I think would benefit from seeing shows that are put on don't have the chance to go see it.
Another problem live theaters face is costs. Even though there was a 46% drop in expenses from 2017 to 21, an NWTW article showed that the public theater laid off 19% of its staff, and The Guardian shows that recruitment and retention costs are only rising. This might be a factor for the 20 to 40% decrease in shows produced, yet the NAA estimates that 8,000 nonprofit theaters collectively suffered a 22.6% decline in gross receipts between 2019 and 22. Why do you think there's been a 20 to 40% drop in shows produced nationwide?
Because people just keep regurgitating the same things, and so it's harder to come up with new ideas.
I'd say COVID definitely took a big hit. As someone who was in a production when COVID literally hit, I know that was crazy, having to do masks all of a sudden on stage.
Could the fact that the nation's dropped 40% since the pandemic be a cause of that?
100%.
I think yes. I think the pandemic has definitely lessened the theater industry.
Another factor could be the audience demographic. The average age of a Broadway attendee is 40 years old, the lowest it's been in the last 20 years. However, a survey by The Guardian shows that the least likely age range to want to attend is 45 to 54. The most likely? 16 to 19-year-olds. A survey by Civil Science in 2022 shows this to be similar, with 74% of people aged 35 to 54 not attending live theater, but 54% of people aged 18 to 24 do attend. Could the problem be accessibility based?
What age range do you think is most likely to attend live theater? Old.
I think really old people or really young people.
So the most likely to attend is 16 to 19, but the average Broadway attendee is 40 years old. Why do you think there's such a change?
Because of how costly it is.
I think because they have the most money.
Well, I will say money is tight as well.
Could ticket prices be why this younger demographic don't want to attend?
Yeah, because they're more expensive, so the older people are going to have the money to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's definitely big. If I try and buy tickets for me and my girlfriend, that's 60, 70 bucks, and that's ridiculous. It's very, very expensive, and it makes it almost impossible to see some shows.
How can theaters expand to this younger audience?
I think by setting their prices lower or just offering an opportunity like to shadow or just, I don't know, probably just setting prices lower.
How could theaters expand to this younger audience that wants to go?
I would say make everything cheaper.
Student nights or certain nights that only students can go, or just ways to get more of the younger community involved. So I'd say programs like that.
Given all these factors, it seems live theater could be stuck in a downward spiral if something doesn't change. This isn't a natural course we've seen, but something of our own doing. In 2021, the UK government cut live art spending by 50%, as if trying to kill it. How can we fix these problems?
Right. Just in general, what are some ways we can bring live theater to more people?
We can open more live theaters. We can spread the news about live theaters, and stop the stigma.
Making it more accessible, maybe having nights where the ticket prices are lower in their donation, or having theater accessible online and having a smaller fee for an online viewing of it.